Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for April 8th, 9th, 2020. How are you doing? We're still in this Libra full moon energy. Wow, what a powerful super moon, huh? Just really activating. It's like speaking to the new energies coming in, the kind of evidence of this shift in consciousness, I think is really helpful right now. It's so been kind of difficult over this last week, few days to remind ourselves that this is a spiritual experience we're having, that that's why we're here. That's where we need to put our energy, that it's kind of like our brigade of light workers called to the front line of holding space for the bigger, wider truth, even though we don't really get to know what that is. And that Libra full moon just kind of, on the one hand, bringing forward so many emotions, kind of extracting out because of that in conjunct to Neptune. And the sun is now in an exact, still in an exact semi-sextile to Neptune. So because of the moon's relationship to Neptune, it was a very emotional, very extractive, but also very activating energy with that Mars exact. We're still feeling Mars an exact square to Uranus. And so Mars, Aquarius has this energy of like nervous energy, vibrational energy. It's a higher frequency vibration. It is energies of the future, technological energies, and new wave technology, kind of. And of course, that has a higher octave to it and it has a lower octave to it. The lower octave is where we've kind of been at because these high wave technologies are not being disclosed to us. And that they're used against us, right? So as long as we don't know about these technologies, they can be used to control us. But these technologies also have this incredible healing potential and new technologies that is going to change our world in ways we can't even imagine. So that Mars in Aquarius kind of is, because Mars kind of represents the physical body, and Aquarius can really affect the physical body, this energy of higher vibrational frequency, and of course in square to Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius. And so this energy very much affecting the nervous system right now with that super moon and whatever's going on around the higher vibrational frequencies. Like, is this our solar system moving into that new part of the galaxy? Is this convergence energy of the timelines? Is it the asteroid or the comet or the earthquakes or, so much going on right now, but we know in our hearts that it's a spiritual activation. We know that it's time to move in to the new vibrational frequencies, but it's important to know that these are affecting our physical body, especially if you are aware and sensitive soul, and that's partly why you're here. Actually, the whole reason why you're here, because you have chosen to be on the front lines, leading the way for spiritual ascension. And so you're going to feel it first, just like you've been going through quarantine, isolation, this, everything that the mass collective is going on through right now. You've been there for the last few years or lifetimes, right? You're ahead of the game, which means it's time for you to step over this line into the new energies, to take that leap. Because, and this is coming up on multiple levels for these souls right now. So it's kind of like we've been talking about how this metaphor of like you can hold on, as long as you're holding on to the sinking ship of the old paradigm, you can't make a leap into the new energies, right? Because it's like the new energies of this technicolor, beautiful arc that's coming our way that wants to hold us and move us into the new. You can't even see that as long as you're clinging to the old paradigm and staying in your cage and your quarantine in order to stay safe, which of course that's just the normal reaction after lifetimes of being quarantined. But that's kind of the energy we're looking at here, that we've got to kind of, in this world situation is pushing these souls to that place of like exasperation, exhaustion. I can't do this anymore. I've got to let myself disconnect from those loyalty contracts, from the lower vibrations, your body, maybe this has something to do with the physical experiences that people are having right now. Is that that's when you're in the lower paradigm. And when you surrender and move into the higher vibrations, then that's allowing the universe to support you more and harmonize your experience. Now, the other information that came through the live activation for the full moon last night is that connecting to the earth harmonizes these changes in your physical body. So just taking a minute, tuning in, not just connecting to the earth like you're attaching to a rock, right? But talking to her. Where is she at in the journey? Because we're going together with her. And when we do that, it seems to it's like a grounded circuit, and it harmonizes all these shifts and changes that are happening energetically for us right now. So that's kind of some information about that. Now, this whole sinking ship thing, it's like I can see it also translating in a very real way, everyday way in these souls around saying no to those lower energies, say in relationships, or, there's just on multitudes of levels, these things are coming forward. But that metaphor of the sinking ship, it's like these souls have been in karmic kind of surrounded by karmic relationships with lesser of all souls. Not that that's a judgment call. It's just that you have lots and lots and lots of experiences, and they might need 1,000 more lifetimes. And are you going to wait around for that? No, you can't anymore, right? But we've gotten ourselves entangled with these relationships because we bought into the fact that we needed to be controlled, quarantined, watched over, protected from our own power, right? So these souls have gotten into a lot of times, it's like all is control-based relationships that have been about invalidating your soul purpose, disconnecting you from your sense of self, and interfering with your ability to connect with your intuition, your greatest gift. And so it's really an interesting thing because it feels like I'm seeing this across the board where these souls are saying, I want to say no to this, but then this energy comes of like, well, you can't survive without that. This is what keeps you safe, right? Like that pen, that quarantine, that prison walls, that gated community, that's what keeps you safe. You might not survive without it. And, it's interesting because at the same time, we have deep fear programming around these ascension energies, that it's not safe for us or the people around us or the earth. And that's a total lie, because it's what we're here for. And it's what's happening. But of course, those fear programming, this is a lot of what's been coming up for people over the last week or two for these souls, fear programming, and realizing that like, oh, I've spent the last maybe years in this lifetime in a very acute kind of ongoing fear and anxiety because your vibration's trying to rise, but you're ahead of the game. And so it's like all this programming of fear through past lives that said it's not safe for you to bring in these higher vibrations, but it's like you're not even bringing them in. It's happening to you. Whereas like years ago, I feel like it was like, oh, I want to spiritually ascend. I want to awaken. I want to do all this kundalini and like come into my, into the spiritual awakening. And then it became like, oh my God, how do I stop this? Right. And now it's like surrendering into this process, knowing that's why you're here, knowing that there's a part of you that you haven't been able to connect with because of all that control-based relationships and all that knows what's going on and feels absolutely completely safe, as does the earth right now. So when we talk to her and be like, hey, is this okay? Are we doing okay? Like, and she's like, got you. Let's do this. I got you, and a complete different relationship to time. I mean, we are going through the portal right now into higher vibrational frequencies. And so when we, on that microcosm level in our lives, say no and to the lower energies, to the crumbs that we get that are all based in control in the relationships and all we've ever known, and we say no to that, we've got to say no. But it feels like no one will ever, it's like, well, this is my only choice. These are the people I have around me and I'll be completely alone. That's another program that goes along with spiritual ascension, that you'll just be completely alone floating out there in the universe, no connection, which is the complete opposite of what's true. And so it's like when we do say no to the crumbs, to the like, because in order for these control-based relationships to work, they have to give you a little bit, right? And it's like, oh, okay. And then there's the withholding and the games and the power games, because it's all about feeding on you, because you have a direct connection to source. You have the light within you. That's why it's been so hard. That's why you've been so beaten down, you know? And it's like becoming a hot commodity right now in our world, although this is part of this shift we're in. But like this bloom of narcissism, where souls have been, are, souls that have not had as much experience of you through lifetimes and evolutions, losing that sense of their own soul. And then everybody, we're brought into this paradigm ultimately the lower paradigm, and the control structures and the lower matrix is all based on the fact that you have to get what you need from outside of yourself, right? Like you need power from the power company coming through a wire, and you got to pay the bill. Otherwise, you can't live your life, right? So, and it's like we're on the verge of free energy, right? And that's exactly what we're the living example of that. Because the reason why you've been so attacked, so beaten down, so fed upon. So this is the deal. It's like, if you are the source of light, you are connected to your own source, and it's near impossible to take that away from you because of all of your lifetimes of experience. The people around you, the control-based relationships, the control matrix, it's all about keeping you feeling shitty about yourself. Because if they empowered you into your true power, then you wouldn't need them, and they couldn't feed on you anymore, you know? And so, and then we feel guilty for taking their food source away, right? Oh gosh. And then we go into this whole parasitic death cycle thing, right? So a lot of what people are feeling is like deep grief coming to the surface, but maybe that's collective grief around the death of the parasite. Like I talked about, when you do a parasite cleanse in your body, you have a parasite issue. Typically we all have this. It's kind of part of our whole reality. And you go through a period of a couple days of deep, dark depression because the death. And this is this multi-headed monster in our world being surrounded, being suffocated. And so we might feel this like deep, dark, and all the deep, dark energies that haven't been resolved within our own being, and those ancient stories, all these lifetimes of grief energies coming up. So it's like really important to just let those energies flow, because we're trying to move on. This is kind of the energy of the astrology right now today, this completion energy, because Mars is in those last Mercury is in those last degrees of Pisces. And on this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, moves into Aries, very powerful energy right for Easter. And it's like, whoa, coming out of that dark fog of the Piscean age, and all these blooming of these stories and delusions, and what's true and what's real, and who am I, and and just clinging to that old ship that's falling apart. And now we're being asked, to these souls, to take that leap, say no to the feeding of the lower vibrations, and trust that's what's required to let the new come in, right? So letting go of the sinking ship, saying no to the control-based energies in your life. Like, for so long, I've taken this manipulative relationship as love. And it's like, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to grovel for your crumbs. I'm going to come into the star that I are. And I'm going to trust and know that there's this whole, like, we're just getting started, right? We're also completing. So that's the energy of these next few days. We're completing a huge cycle, completing the age of Pisces, really, for these souls, because you're leading the way, right? You got to take that leap. And so it's a really good time, if you have loose ends in relationships that haven't been serving you, with love and a smile, but just try to get some completion there, so that you're not having any of these strands of energies sucking on your juice, because you have a precious, precious gift that the whole world wants, because the whole world has been convinced that they don't have a connection to their own source. but somehow you've managed to keep yours. That's why you've been so targeted. And that's why this stepping over this threshold and taking this leap is about claiming, owning, protecting, honoring, saying no, and so you can have a sacred temple where you can purify the energies, hold a sacred space, tell the universe that you're ready, tell your inner child that you're not going to let that happen to them anymore. You're here, and Mother Earth is here, and your divine masculine incarnating this container for your light and your gift, and then the unwrapping of that. And it's like, what does your life look like when you contain this energy for you and what you want to do? And you're saying, yeah, you guys can be wherever you need to be. I'm going to be here. And by taking that leap and being present and owning your light, you are leading the way and demonstrating what's possible. This is what we're here to do. We're not here to, it's like we've been going up and down the mountain, right? Into higher energies, back to the lower with these loyalty contracts and with the narcissistic feeding. And we're like trying to bring these souls with us up and down the mountain. And it's exhausting, and we need to just go to the top of the mountain, see the bigger picture, be in that expansive energy, breathe that fresh air, share that energetically with the earth and with the enlightened beings that can meet us there on the top of the mountain. So the energies that you want to connect with are already on the top of the mountain. That's where you want to go, right? So until we can let ourselves be there, we can't find our soul group, right? And it's kind of back asswards where we've been thinking that, oh, well, when I find these people or this person, right, then I can go. And it's like, no. They're already there maybe, or they're making their way there, but you're not even going to recognize each other through the fog till you get to the top above the clouds. And that's this Mercury at the end of Pisces. It's coming out of a fog. And so use this next few days as an opportunity to complete energies in your life that have been parasitic and kind of have that clear boundary as a message to the universe that you're willing and able to your higher self to take this leap of trust into your higher purpose. And that you don't need to know exactly what that looks like in order to make the leap. See, it's almost like, well, when I have the support, then I can go. When I have the job I want, then I'll be happy. And that's a conditional based reality. That's the lower matrix, right? And it's like, now we have to take that leap and know that all of the manifestations of the energy will come. But first we have to be in that energy, because first it's energy, then it's manifestation, right? So it's a powerful time with this, still feeling this Mars exact square to Uranus. Of course, it all goes back to that radical shift in self-worth, our ability to have permission to move into those higher vibrational frequencies, and to trust in the type of soul we are, and that everything that's wrong about you is actually what's right about you, and to be there in that higher place, be that demonstration, be at the top of the mountain, showing everybody it's going to be okay. Because you do know this inside, and these energies that are coming in are disruptive, right? So that's Uranus. It's like disruptive, energies, but it's not disruptive to you. You've been disrupted. You've been squeezed. You've been pushed down. You've been held back, and now it's like, oh, I can breathe finally. And are you going to let yourself breathe? Or are you going to stay in the suffocating cage? So that's this energy of kind of like maybe going back and forth. I've been seeing people just really going back and forth, back into the lower vibrations, back into the higher vibrations, finding that permission, dancing on the edge, experimenting with the new. And then, of course, everybody around you, the minute you go there, they're like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be down here with us. This is a tragedy. We need you here, and it's like, oh, so in a way, this quarantine energy is serving these souls, giving them more permission to, instead of be out there saving themselves. And that's the only way you can bring anybody with you. And so, but it's a huge rearranging from the old patterns, 180-degree turn, and you got to slow that train down before you can go 80 miles an hour the other direction, which is about what's going to happen here. Whatever's coming, it's just this massive turnaround, just like we've been dabbling in the higher vibrations, but ultimately at some point we got to all make that leap. We can't stay in between. This is what we're preparing for. So clean up, clean house, cut the cords, say no, make space for your sacred spiritual adventure that lies ahead. And beautiful energies to really grab a hold of, with Venus very close in trine to Mars. And again, Venus is trying to catch up to Mars in this trine, but doesn't quite do it. They come really close, but not an exact trine. And it's such a sweet energy, really, because Venus is preparing for this retrograde in Gemini. And so it goes into its retrograde shadow in just a few days on the 10th, Friday. And so, but what a sweet energy of them. Like that brings Mars and Venus into an air trine, which is about ideas, thoughts, beliefs, and having this really sweet energy of harmonization between the sides, the right and left, the male, female, the war within, the war that has been perpetrated on us, divide and conquer, keep us hating each other so that we don't see we're being controlled, huge energy for harmonizing conflict in these throughout the end of April. So grab a hold of that energy. And for you, the conflict is whether or not you deserve to make this leap, and that war within you with the lower vibrations, with the parasitic energy. So say no, be strong in the light, and let's stick together through this. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.